Hi, friends. Welcome back to another pick a card. Sorry, welcome back to another live tarot reading from Junodrome Intuitive Arts. My name is Juno. Today, we're going to be going and taking a look at what can you expect for the week? What is coming for the week ahead? So we're going to come together and try to figure that out in just a moment here. And I'm at 17 seconds on this thing, so I'm just going to do something real quick for all of us. All right, so welcome in. How this works is I will be reading for the week to see what will happen. I will go through each zodiac sign, so we'll take it one at a time and we'll go from there. So we're going to start out with what to expect for our Aries signs this week. And let's see, I'm going to put our little singing bowl. I'm trying to use it more. Let's put it somewhere where we can see it. Aha, perfect. So I will ring the bell to begin for each reading here. So let's start with Aries. Okay, actually, you know what? I should shuffle first. All right, Aries, what are you going to expect this week? Aries, sun, moon, and rising signs. So please listen in for your sun, moon, and rising signs. All three will give you a triangulated picture at what you can expect this week here. What energies are we going to experience as a collective this week? Let's find out together. I'm not sure if the bell sound will work or if it will get blocked out, but I guess you'll know on the other end of this. All right, we're ready to begin here. So let us get started here. All right, Aries, what's happening for you this week? Well, you've got the Eight of Swords, so let's talk about that right away. The Eight of Swords talks about being stuck. It talks about being in a situation where you are tied up and not able to move forward. So there is a little bit here about being hung up around something. So what's happening in your life right now where you are stuck, and what place can you do to open yourself up to that? I think this week you're going to be coming face to face with the things that are making you feel like you can't move forward for whatever reason, whether or not that's actually true or not. These are your feelings, right? And so I think that when you really start to tackle those feelings, I think what starts to happen is an opening of understanding that helps you move forward again here, because you have the Ace of Swords, which is a new beginning in the mind, a new way to think of things. So this week is bringing you an opportunity to think about things differently and to have a new perspective. And then also we have the Page of Pentacles, which talks about being in a position to learn new things around your physical world, having a new start in the physical world, but also being a student in that as well. So learning how to do things differently in your day-to-day life, what your work is, what your health is, what your daily habits are, what your daily routines are, the physical work that you put into your life, really taking a look at that and learning how to do some of that stuff differently. I think that if you do that this week, you'll open yourself up to understanding that life has more to offer you than maybe you really understand. And so there's an opportunity for you this week to feel as though you can actually do things in a different way, but it's going to take admitting to yourself that maybe you don't have all of the tools or understanding at your disposal to do that kind of stuff. And so you're learning, if you take student mindset, I think that that's going to help. And then finally, I think the biggest thing that's going to help you feel less stuck is actually just physically getting out there and doing the work. The Seven of Pentacles talks about putting in hard work in hard places, but also it talks about maybe not seeing the results yet because it's not harvest time. So, there is a little bit of faith that's required from this card as well, that I think you're being required to have, Aries, this week, to feel comfortable about yourself, to have faith that the actions that you're having are leading you somewhere and are not just leading you nowhere, right? So just have faith that the actions that you take will lead you in the right direction. Even if you don't see the full results this week, it doesn't mean that you can't get a lot of good work done that will lead you in your direction and keep you moving in the direction that you're trying to go. All right, so Aries, that was my reading for you. I hope that it is helpful. Please be sure to check out your sun, moon, and rising signs. All three signs are going to give you a triangulation on what to expect. Some people, though, are triple signs, right? If you're a stellium in one energy, that in itself has a lot to say, right? So just whatever signs are in your sun, moon, and rising, that'll help you. If you need some help on figuring out what those are, there are plenty of websites online you can go to try to figure that out. If you would like a private reading from me, they are available on my website. You can find information in the description section, as well as going to the website, www.junodrome.com. I will potentially be opening the floor up to some little mini quick little one reads based on donation at the end. So we'll see if there's time and energy. But we're going to move on now. Please tune into your sun, moon, and rising signs. We are moving on now to Taurus. Okay, Taurus, sun, moon, and rising signs. What can you expect this week? Well, first of all, you have the Knight of Pentacles. So there's movement for you in the physical world. And Taurus, you're at home in the Pentacles suit. Taurus is an earth sign, and the Pentacles are also earth based suit, right? The earth suit of the tarot. And so with that earth energy, there's something about movement in your physical world, maybe in work. A lot of times this is work related. So maybe this week for my Tauruses, you'll feel like you're making a real headway in your work environment potentially. But also this has to do with just your day-to-day life, right? Your house, your health, what you eat, the food that you eat, all of those things. And so I think that this week you're feeling some movement in some direction in that physical space. Now, interesting. Wow. Okay. This is crazy. I guess we got a theme coming up this week too. I think maybe some of us are feeling really stuck because Aries got this as well. So I'd be interested to see if this keeps coming out. But with that Eight of Swords, it talks about feeling like you can't move forward. And a lot of times it's not necessarily true, right? It's our feelings. But a lot of times with this card in particular, it's a stuck energy that can very quickly be moved out of. And so I think that if you are feeling stuck, you have a really good sign of movement being in this reading as well, that maybe the stuck energy is an illusion. And it could be on a larger level, it could be societal, some kind of situation in the external that's keeping things feeling blocked, right? Well, ultimately though, I think that you're going to be able to move forward. Now, what's interesting though is a part of, I think, where you're feeling stuck here, maybe some self-inflicted energy going on here for my Tauruses. And I think a big part of that might be the feeling that, you're trying to stay safe. And so you're playing it safe and you're holding back a little bit. And it has to do with this heartbreak card. So I do think there's a little bit of emotional protection going on for you as well. And so that's something to keep in mind, Taurus. Like, not every moment is a moment to go out and push, right? Some moments are important to stay in and be tender. And so I think maybe this particular week, Taurus, sun, moon, and rising signs, excuse me, this is an opportunity for you to be a little bit kind-hearted to yourself, a little bit tender to yourself, and not push so hard, right? So if you're feeling emotionally triggered this week by situations going on, that's okay. First of all, we all go through those kinds of situations. And I think that there's a real opportunity here for you, Taurus, to make sure that you are keeping yourself feeling safe in whatever way that means to you. I think that the more that you can do that, the more that you'll feel comfortable in the long run about where you are and what's happening. And you'll be able to move through some things in a way that feels a little bit easier. So anyway, Taurus, sun, moon, and rising signs. That was my reading for you. Please be sure to check out all three, your sun, moon, and rising signs. All three will have some messages for you. I also have private readings available if you want something more detailed. You can find information on my website, www.junodrome.com. I'd be happy to give you one. And I think that I might be opening the floor later for some little mini readings as well. We'll see if I have the energy today. Feeling a bit drained, but here we are anyway, and that's fine. Here with all the plants, I feel good about that. All right, everybody. So we're going to move on now. This is for everyone's sun, moon, and rising signs. Kristen, hello. Taurus rising. This makes sense. I feel resigned to the reality of my current work situation, but I'm stuck only because I'm gathering information. Otherwise, all good. All right. Yeah. And sometimes, you just have to embrace where you are with things. But I'm I'm hoping things work out really well for you for sure. All right, we're gonna move on now. Okay, so Gemini, sun, moon, and rising signs. What can you expect this week? Well, for you, you've got the Hierophant. So let's talk about that. This card doesn't come out too often, and it's kind of a tricky one sometimes. It talks about tradition and the importance of tradition. Sometimes it can talk about trying to break with tradition, but I don't know. A lot of times I've come back into feeling like this card, it has a lot to do with Kristen says, love the sound refresher. Yeah, isn't this great? I got this in San Francisco. It's really nice. Singing bowl. Anyway, the Hierophant has this feeling of really pushing you in a direction towards realizing the wisdom of former generations, right? And that, sometimes we have this tendency and feeling in the present moment, which is totally fair, to think that everything that we're going through has never happened before and it's novel, and a lot of what's happening in the world is new and novel and never existed. But sometimes some things uh have there's wisdom in the past from past situations. And I think for you in particular, Gemini, whatever it is you're going through this week, there is some real wisdom in tuning into the wisdom of your ancestors, the wisdom of just former people, right? How have people endured the challenges that you are facing this week? And there might be some real quick, not necessarily quick, but real deep, positive uh, movement forward for you based on how others have dealt with the same and similar situations, right? There could be a quicker way to get to where you need to go based on how other people have moved in the past, and that this might be an opportunity for you to open yourself up to that idea. Now, with the 6 of Pentacles, this talks about balancing a give and a take and asking for help when you need it. And I think in particular with these two, actually, you know what? Sometimes it's funny. The Hierophant is literally like a religious figure, right? He's a pope. He is the wise man in a certain sense. And so he can represent gaining wise counsel. And actually, I think for you, I think that's going to be really important. So in some aspect, gaining wise counsel from someone, whatever that means to you, will be really deeply important in the way that you move forward. And so I do think you're being encouraged to do that. Find someone who has the wisdom that you need. And it could be anybody, right? Wisdom is something that's gained from life experience. And so, somebody who has the wisdom that you need is out there, and is the universe is trying to help line you up to get that conversation. So really be open-minded to that, because I think that wisdom is trying to come into you. With the Queen of Wands, this is a master manifester. So you're kind of opening up to your own powers of manifestation this week, Gemini, to connect into where you're going and how you're moving forward. And so I think particularly with that wisdom energy that was coming in before, I think that this is an opportunity for you to ask for assistance from someone in order to gain the wisdom towards creating whatever it is you're doing, right? That there is really important insights coming to you from someone if you open your heart and your mind to that this week. So be open to that, open to learning something new, because ultimately, you have the Four of Cups here. No, this is the Six of Cups. Never mind. Six of Cups is happy memories from the past. So with happy memories from the past and stuff, there's an opportunity as well, I think, to allow in maybe some childhood wisdom, that there's some things from childhood coming back a little bit, good things potentially, but also I think, maybe even like lear- setting into your own internal wisdom as well. As much as this is the tried and true and finding help from others, I think it's also like tuning into that internal wisdom too, that's existed in you beyond this life, the deeper universal you that exists, and connecting into that energy a little bit could be really helpful in moving you forward as you're trying to gain insights. I feel like for a lot of my Geminis this week, you're really searching for some answers. And so I think be really open-minded to finding those answers in unusual places, because I think they're going to show up in some unusual places this week. All right, Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. That's my reading for you. We're going to move on. I do encourage you to please watch your Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. Particularly if you're catching this in post, you can look down at the description for where in the reading is everything. Otherwise, we're going to move on now. But before I do, I have private readings available on my website. You can find information at www.junodrome.com. And we're going to move on. All right. All right, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. What do you need to know this week? Well, let's talk about it right away. You got some challenging cards, but challenges don't always mean bad things, right? Sometimes we're face to face with certain setbacks or certain forks in the road that just need our attention. That is not necessarily a bad thing here. You've got the Devil card. So, with the Devil card, the thing about this one is there's a feeling of coming face to face with some of your bad habits, right? And it could be as small as small bad habits or big bad habits or things that you know you shouldn't be doing, but you get locked into them anyway. Sometimes it's really easy to ruminate in all of the things that aren't working in our lives. And then that rumination energy just kind of is a self perpetuating challenge, if that makes sense. And I do think with this death card, devil card, sorry, you are coming face to face with some of those challenges. They're bubbling up a little bit this week, Cancer, just to be addressed, right? So allow those bad habits to come up and to see them, right? That's the biggest thing. When you allow yourself to see the situation for all that it is, even if it's something that's not great, right? You give yourself more power over it by just seeing, not even necessarily acting. But if you see everything before you act, instead of acting in a knee-jerk reaction towards whatever happens, you give yourself an opportunity to really take the time to make choices you want to make. So really, I recommend slowing down a little bit, because you have the 10, you have a lot of tens energies here too, which 10 is completion. You got the 10 of swords and the 10 of wands. So I think you're going to be feeling a bit overwhelmed, and maybe you're overwhelmed at the state of the world right now. I know it's really easy to do that at this point because things are crazy here in the US anyway, but so there's just a little bit of that, freak out energy. So just that's something to keep in mind. But also, though, it could just be in your own day-to-day life. This means burnout, especially with this 10 of wands. 10 of wands means carrying too many things. And so I think, a part of what those bad habits might be is how hard are you pushing yourself? And are you pushing yourself too hard? And I think you need to be a little bit careful about pushing too hard this week, because you might have the desire to accomplish a lot, but the problem with that is if you're putting too many things on yourself that you can't carry, it's going to be too much. And then you're going to burn out, and then you might drop everything and you might fall back farther than you would if you just took small steps forward. And so I do think that there's a real importance in keeping track of your own internal dialogue and how are you feeling, instead of allowing yourself to get so pushed that you are in this overwhelmed burnout energy. Try to see yourself falling into these bad habits ahead of time, right? Try to see it early on, and the more that you can see it early, the more that you can catch it, the more that you can put yourself in a better position so that you can move forward from a more place of peace and calm instead of somewhere where you're pushing yourself way too hard. And if you do that, you have a really great sign because you have the Wheel of Fortune. So as much as we have all those challenging cards, at the end of the day, fortune is still on your side here. So even if you do push a little bit too hard and you feel a little bit burnt out and you follow your bad habits a little bit too much, that doesn't mean that you end up in an irredeemable place or you've lost it all or it's never going to work out, right? With that Wheel of Fortune, it's kind of saying like, hey, things are going to work out for you anyway. So you might as well cool it down a little bit, take it a little bit slower, go a little bit easier, because in the long run, you're going to end up where you want to go. So just be careful and don't push too hard. Kristen says, sounds like a particular Cancerian I know. Oh, yeah. Well, it's easy to get into. It's easy for anybody to get into this. Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. Melissa, hello. Hi, a little late to the party, but I'm here now. Welcome. Thanks for joining in. I'm happy to see you. All right, so we're going to move on now. So for Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs, that was my reading for you. Please do look at all of your Sun, Moon, and Rising signs, particularly if you have 3 different ones. If you only have 2 different ones, that's fine too. Then maybe one of the doubles has a little bit extra meaning for you. If you've got a stellium somewhere, wow, that's crazy, but also really cool. And then, You might find some more information here, though. Anyway, I found that these are, as much as these are independent readings, sometimes they kind of blur in with each other and they can all be kind of one big collective reading too. It's really up to you how you want to watch these, because we do have kind of energies of all of these signs in our charts, all across. So we're going to move on now. If you would like a private reading from me, they are available on my website. You can find information at www.junodrome.com or go down to the description section. There's lots of info for things down there. I also have a donation page. If you want to donate to this channel at any point, you're always welcome to. No pressure, though, just putting it out there. All right, we're going to move on. All right, Leo, sun, moon, and rising signs. Let's find out, what can you expect for the week ahead. You got the Three of Swords. This one's come up a bunch. Ooh, and then, okay, all right. There's some challenges, but also some great things here. So let's do the challenges first. I think I found collectively, I think we're going through some challenges this week. This might be a challenging week for a lot of us. Doesn't have to be, but if you just find, I mean, in all of our day-to-day lives, we're always faced with certain challenges sometimes, and that's just a part of life. And so if you find yourself in a challenging situation, give yourself a break. Take your time, pace yourself through a situation, breathe, and give yourself the benefit of the doubt always. Please do, because being hard on yourself is not going to help your situation, but being kind to yourself may make things easier in the moment, right? So try to do that for yourself here. Now, for you, you got the heartbreak card and you've got the 10 of swords, which talks about like overwhelm, burnout, or defeat, right? Not that you're defeated, but there might be some situations for my Leos this week where you're feeling maybe very emotionally overwhelmed. I think with these two, I think that that's a part of it, feeling that nervous system triggering, shaking the nervous system and being fried, right, on the emotional spectrum. There could be a little bit of that going on this week. And so just keep that in mind. If that's happening for yourself, what can you do to alleviate your responsibilities this week and taking this as a slightly easier week? That might be really important. What can you do for your mental health? Are you scrolling too much? Are you doom scrolling? What kind of content can you be actively watching instead that could help you, right? If you still want to watch things, be more selective on the content that you put on in front of you. Maybe this is a week for positive affirmations and sound bath videos and all of the like peaceful hippie stuff or whatever. You don't have to be into that. I'm into that, but you don't have to be into that. Whatever that is for you. Some people, I have a really great friend who says when he was a teenager, he used to meditate to metal music, and like that was his peaceful music was like metal. So, whatever it is for you, like be open to that. But I think this is a week for comfort. This is a week for like really giving yourself that space to just chill out. And anywhere that you can, meet your responsibilities where you need to, but put in the minimum where you can and give yourself lots of time and space where you can as well. Because I think the more that you do that, the more you're going to be feeling really good at the end of the week instead of feeling totally, completely drained or overwhelmed or burnt out in a way that won't be good for you in the long run, right? Now, if you do that, I mean, we have some really positive cards here too, which is amazing. Like you have the 10 of cups, which is ultimate happiness. So there's an availability here of being happy. And, in this particular deck, this is a great card for this too. Look at these two people are celebrating together. So I do think, as much as you might be going through some difficult things this week, especially just facing challenges, this could be all external stuff, whatever. There's an importance in meeting with the kind friend, jovial energy of those around you as well. With that 10 of cups, there are people out there for you to celebrate with and to open your heart to and to go out and have fun with, or just like go and walk in the park with or whatever, right? So I think this is about like getting your friends together, getting your support structure together when you're feeling burnt out or you're feeling overwhelmed or you're feeling that emotional raw thing. Double down in your community building this week and connections in your day-to-day life. And I think the more that you can do that, the more that you can feel that peace of community, and that I think it's the community support that's going to get us through, and with this age of swords, like this isn't necessarily an easy thing to do. It's not something that's in the wheelhouse, I think, for you. And so this is about changing the mindset a little bit and learning how to think about things differently, particularly if you find yourself totally being overwhelmed by that um, nervous system dysregulation from external sources or from internal sources or whatever. If you find yourself in that position, this is about learning how to consciously change your mental state for your own mental health, and disengaging from whatever you need to, or finding support wherever you need it, any of that. I think that if you take the time to do that this week, Leo, you're going to end the week feeling really good about yourself and about what's going on for you, at least. Maybe not with the world, but for you'll be feeling much better. And so I think that there is an opportunity for that here, and it's important. I think it's really important. So anyway, that was for Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. I hope that it resonates. Kristen says, Leo, Sun, Moon, North Node. I've already felt this. I know it's going to be a crazy week, but I'm honestly just seeing it as a pause moment. Yeah, and I feel that energy, especially, is like really taking this moment for taking a step back as much as you can and really giving yourself some time to recuperate. I think is going to be really important. Kristen also says that Deftones are my emotional support band. Oh yeah, nice, cool. That's great. Building with community is huge. Yeah, I agree. I do think so. I think that particularly for my Leos, but I think for all of us, I think that doubling down in our community building support, getting to know your neighbors as much as you can, friends in your community, in your day-to-day life, I think is going to be really huge for all of us. The more that we can do that, the more that we can help put ourselves together a little bit more. And that's important. I think that's important. All right. So we're going to move on now. Please do check out your sun, moon, and rising signs. It's important to get some kind of triangulation between a few of them if you can. Just gives you more information, and you can kind of pinpoint some things from one or some things from the other. We're going to move on now to Virgo. Okay. All right. So for my Virgo, sun, moon, and rising signs, what can you expect for the week ahead? Well, you've got the Six of Wands, which is the victory card. So for my Virgos, this is going to be a good week for you. Some challenges as well. I do think this is a challenging week for all of us collectively. Every sign has had some challenge. And so you could be encountering some challenges. But ultimately, I think the thing for you to keep in mind is this victory card. Maybe keeping victory, whatever that means to you, whatever your definition of that is, keeping it in the front of your mind this week to move through whatever you have to move through, understanding that you're marching towards victory and you will be victorious, and knowing that deep in your heart will help connect you and connect the dots to what's happening in a way that could be really helpful in the long run, right? So really keeping in mind where you need to go and what you can focus on and what you shouldn't focus on, being really open to that. Because ultimately, you have the Nine of Swords, which is the anxiety card. So this week, like I said, your challenge, everybody's got some kind of challenge going on. For my Virgos, your challenge is the anxious anxiety, overthinking things, being in a position where you are afraid, any of that. This is kind of you're going to come face to face with that a little bit. You're coming face to face with your own inner turmoil. And sometimes that's hard. It's hard to come up with that. It's hard to come up against that. And so I do think that's where this victory card is going to be really important. This could also be, potentially sometimes we get self-sabotage coming in when we're on a roll. So, you might be on a roll in something and then have your own inner subconscious anxieties come out a little bit stronger because you're doing well. So if that's happening at all, like, just acknowledge it, be present with yourself, and keep the victory in the front of your mind, because you're getting there anyway, so, but keep it real, keep it in your mind, because you're moving in that direction. And remember, this is all in the mind. This anxiety stuff, it's all mental. It's 100% mental. None of it's real in the long run. And so if you're coming face to face with any of those mental turmoils here, it's just important to keep in mind, keep your goal in mind. Not always do I think we should have like this future centered approach to life, because I do think it's important to be in the present. But sometimes having that little bit of a this is where I'm going, this is where I'm going mantra, in your head, sometimes that can be important. And I think in this particular moment, if you are coming face to face with some of these inner doubts, these self doubts, reminding yourself where you're going will be really, really big in helping you get past these doubts that might be popping up this week. And I think the doubts are popping up because you've been working really hard at something with the Seven of Swords. Oh no, this is the eight of wands. I'm Eight of Pentacles. I'm sorry. With that Eight of Pentacles, so not the Seven of Pentacles, which I was thinking. With the Eight of Pentacles, you have been working really hard at something, and you're encouraged to continue to put in that work, because it is leading you someplace, and you will get to where you want to go. And there's an importance in understanding that. And so I think that's something that could be really helpful too if you're feeling like you're coming up against any kind of internal challenges this week for my Virgos. If you find yourself coming up with any challenges in that way, just being open-minded to doing the work anyway, knowing that it's going to get somewhere, and knowing that your self-doubt is not going to get in the way if you're doing the work, right? I think that's important. So just keep doing it. Keep walking the tightrope, with this Seven of Cups here. It can mean a lot of things. Usually it means a lot of choices and a lot of but in this particular deck, it kind of means this balance act too, of like walking a tightrope, and in that, choosing things can be walking a tightrope too. So make sure that you're making the right choices this week as you move through your situation. But know too that, you might have, I'm seeing this inner anxiety for you, and just you moving through it and doing the things you need to do anyway. And the more that you can do that this week, the more that you'll end up leaving the week feeling in a really positive position where you don't feel like you've pushed too hard, but you're actually making it to where you want to go. All right. So that was for my Virgos, Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I hope that was helpful. And I hope you have a good week. Even if you get through some challenges, just remember you can get through anything. It's true. You can. Please do check out your Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. All three have some good messages for you. And if some people have two signs, two of them in one sign, or even three, right? We call that a stellium. If you have any of that going on, that's fine too. Maybe you just have some extra messages going on in some of the other piles. Anyway, you never know. And if you would like a private reading from me, they are available on my website. You can find information at www.junodrome.com. There's also a donation page. If you want to support this channel, you're always welcome to do that too. Okay, let's move on. All right, Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. What's going on for you this week? Well, you've got some challenges. Everybody's got challenges. That's the collective message. I'll get to it at the end. There's some real challenges that we're all facing as a collective this week. Be them internal, be them external. If you're facing some challenges, know that you can face any challenge head on and you can make it through. So holding on to your own inner strength and resilience is going to be huge. Knowing that you have the resilience to make it through anything. For you, I mean, ultimately, you have a lot of good cards here too. So just don't be too freaked out by that first message. But you do have the Devil. So let's talk about it. With the Devil, this talks about bad habits. It talks about the things in life that bind us, right? It's the little things. Sometimes we get really carried away by the little things that don't work in our lives. And we use them, whether consciously or not, we use them as a catapult and a catalyst to make more things wrong, right? And like, it's that idea of like you stub your toe and then you're like, oh, this day is terrible. And then because of that, you forget your keys and then you do this, and right? And it's just like how you can have an avalanche down a road of negativity, and that's so easy to do. And so I just think that there's a little bit of that here this week to keep in mind. So if you feel like you're falling down a trajectory of negativity, it's okay. It happens to all of us. Find some way to give yourself a break, to take yourself out of the situation. Because the thing about the Devil card is usually it's depicted as two people chained to the devil, but the chains are like not tied at all. It's like a one loose loop around their neck, so he's very easily pull off, walk away. He's not keeping you there. The devil, he's inviting you to feel bad, right? But he's not forcing you to feel bad. It's something that you actually have to choose for yourself. Surprisingly enough, it's like a vampire, right? Vampires need to have an invitation to come into your life. Otherwise, they can't come in, right? So there's a little bit of that energy of needing the invitation with that devil card. And he's the devil will be inviting you this week a little bit to feel bad. And so it is up to you whether you choose to accept this invitation. You do not need to, right? And what's interesting is I think a little bit of that is coming from this external energy as well. This talks about deceit sometimes or not being truthful around you, but also, particularly for this particular age that we're in, I do associate this with social media a lot as well, and how social media is not always truthful. We see people online, especially with the devil card too. This could be, this could just be like, this could just be this energy of all of the influencers who have all these fake lives and are trying to make you feel good, and then are trying to make them look good, and so it makes you feel bad to see other people looking good, and you end up in that energy. I think that there's a little bit of a feeling of that here, of being stuck in that external, oh, everybody else is not doing well, or everybody else is doing better than me, and so I'm doing terrible, and blah 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 blah. Right? It's the devil inviting you to feel bad when you don't need to, right? And so just don't pay attention, right? Comparisons can be really hard. So instead of comparing yourself to others, why don't you try to build community with those that you love this week instead, right? So anytime that you're feeling you're in this weird comparison energy with somebody else, or you're feeling like something's putting you down because you're looking at somebody else, right? If you end up in that kind of situation with the Ten of Cups, there is a need to just take into consideration that you can, well, first of all, you don't know how other people see you. You could be put on a pedestal in somebody else's mind without you realizing, so that's something to keep in mind. But also, this is ultimate happiness. So this is like coming together with others. And I think if you reach out and work on some community building this week for my Libras, I think that ultimately you're going to feel way better about your situation and about life, because we have strength and joy in numbers. And I think that there's a little bit of remembering that. And finally, you have the King of Pentacles, which is more of this building energy into your physical life. And I think, it's like, don't pay too close attention to the internet. Pay more attention to your own physical spaces, your own community, your own day-to-day life. And how can you build something positive in your own life here? Because the King of Pentacles, he's all about the real. He's about real world, physical world building. And I think with this Ten of Cups too, this is like community building. So how can you build a strong, positive community for yourself where you can create some positive places in order to help you move forward? I think that'll be really huge for you in the long run. So Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs, I hope that's helpful. We're going to move on. We got some stuff in the chat. Kristen says, why are all the vampires in my algorithm today? Yeah, well, sometimes they all come at once, right? So, you got to keep those boundaries up with those, daughter's dad's a Libra, but he needs to just be himself rather than compete with BS. Yeah, totally. I completely understand that. We talked so much about this today. Wow. Yeah. Oh, that's powerful. Yeah, no, it's so true. And it's like, it's so easy to put other people on a pedestal and to be in competition with other people. But yeah, at the end of the day, what matters is who you are inside and your own self, and using that to help you move forward instead of something else, I think is really big. Yeah. All right. So we're going to move on now. If you would like a private reading, they are available on the website, www.junodrome.com. Yeah, definitely open to giving those out. And says, let's just be kind. I agree, Kristen. I agree 100%. I think the world would be so much better if we all did that. Some people don't know how, unfortunately, or don't care to learn, right? Which is also unfortunate, and don't really see the benefit of that, which, is a sad way to live, honestly, if you ask me. Okay, we're moving up. That was just Virgo, or was that Libra? That was Libra. Okay. All right, so for our Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs, what can you expect this week? Yep, you do. Okay, everybody's got a challenge. I knew it was coming for you too. Don't worry about it. Every single sign so far has had some kind of difficulty or some kind of challenge. So don't take it personally. I think that's where we are as a collective. There's some challenging energies that we're moving through as people, and we just got to be there and face it head on, right? You can face your challenges head on. For you, this is about being in a fight. It could be internal, it could be external, but there is some kind of struggle happening for you where you cannot move forward because you're evenly matched in some kind of stuck battle. I mean, a lot of times with the swords, this is an internal battle. So Scorpio, you might be battling yourself a little bit this week, and that might be something to keep in mind. You know, if you're fighting yourself, that might be a sign to take a step back and to think things through a little bit differently, right? So just keep that in mind. But if this is a struggle on the external world as well, just keep in mind that sometimes the only way to get out of a fight is to walk away. You know, sometimes not necessarily the best advice for you in this moment, but I do think that might help you, right? That you always have the ability to turn around too. If you're facing a dead end when you're walking forward, yeah, maybe it'll hurt your ego a little bit to turn around and walk the other way for a little bit. But honestly, sometimes that's the fastest way out of a situation. So keep that in mind. That might be powerful advice for you this week. With the King of Cups, you are being asked to be in your compassion energy. And also, though, the cups are the water sign. Scorpio's a water sign. The masculine water energy is important for you this week, which is about compassion. It's about being in tune with the emotions of others. And oh, horn outside for confirmation. So using those emotions as a connection point to other people, and knowing what other people are going through because you've gone through your own difficult emotions, right? I think being a little bit open-minded this week, a little bit compassionate for your fellow people, I think might help you. You might alleviate your own problems by helping somebody through theirs this week, right? There could be a need for you to take a break from something you've been forcing so that you can help someone else maybe realize something that they're doing that will end up helping you in yours in the long run. Because with the Chariot, you have swift, fast moving energy, which is so funny. So even if you start the week being stuck, I do think this is a little bit of like I was saying, sometimes when you push too hard in one direction, you just can't go anymore in that direction, and you do need to move back a little bit. And so I think, by taking those kinds of steps, especially maybe helping somebody else out a little bit, you open yourself up to moving forward in a really positive way that maybe you would have never found before. So it might just take being open-minded to talking with people, meeting people, helping somebody else in their lives, and realizing what's happening in your life a little bit more because of that. Finally, you have the Page of Pentacles, which is a student energy. So being a student in the physical world, learning how to build your life in a different way that will be positive for you in the long run. There's a need to do that, and I think a part of where this stuck energy is maybe assuming that you have all the cards in your hands when you don't, assuming that you have all the answers to how things are when you don't. And there could be an opportunity to learn how to do things differently this week that opens you up to the ability to move forward later in the week in a way that you wouldn't have felt otherwise. So I do think there's an importance of really allowing yourself to embrace the student mindset, the beginner's mind, not knowing everything. Be curious about your situation. Don't think that you know the outcome. With that Five of Swords, that talks about being stuck in the mind, right? And so sometimes that stuck energy comes from an assumption where we know everything when we don't. So be open-minded to changing your mind, changing your habits, changing where you're at, so that you can be in a position to open yourself up to something moving forward, right? I think that's important. All right, Scorpio, I hope that that's helpful for your sun, moon, and rising signs in Scorpio. Please do check out your sun, moon, and rising signs. All three will have something a little bit different for you that you can triangulate with. If you have two in one sign, maybe that one that you have two in is a little bit more important than some of the other messages, but not necessarily. Take it as it resonates. Feel these readings out. They're all for you. There'll be some collective messages at the end. I also have private readings available on my website, so you can find that. Oh, interesting. Wait, who did I get? I got something from somebody. That is from Kristen. Oh, Kristen. That's so nice. Thank you so much. Okay, Kristen. Well, you'll definitely get a reading here today. So that's great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's really, really kind of you. Honestly, definitely. You don't have to tip me every week, Kristen, but I appreciate it. I feel bad because you're like one of the only people here all the time. But that is very kind of you. Thank you so much. Um, all right. And you might be off of the page. So when you come back, I'll thank you again. All right, we're going to move on now. We're moving on to Sagittarius. Okay, let's get back to that. All right, so for my Sagittarius sun, moon, and rising signs, what do you need to know this week? Let's take a look. We've got the Ten of Swords. So with that Ten of Swords, this is feeling burnt out. And I will tell you, Sagittarius, every single sign this week has gotten some kind of big challenge. So I think collectively we are facing some really difficult times right now. And so if you're in a challenging week, it's okay, right? Challenges happen, difficulties happen, but you know what? With this Ten of Swords, you have the tools to get out of this energy, right? And we got some stuff coming up here, but it might be overwhelming. You might be feeling nervous system overwhelm, right? What does that mean? That means like all of the external things are coming and you feel anxiety and you don't know how to move forward and you feel really scared and right. So that's like your nervous system being hijacked and needing to open yourself up to feeling things in a little bit of a different way, right? So be open minded to opening yourself up to taking some time back, right? What can you do to open yourself up to less? So not open yourself up at all. Close yourself off from some of the things that are a little bit too overwhelming. Not have to close yourself off from everything, right? But just, where is your retreat energy? Where is your peace energy? How can you increase your inner peace this week and your inner calm? And giving yourself the space and the time to do that. Taking some breaks from maybe pushing too hard. This could be a week where you're being called to do some of the bare minimum, and that's okay, right? Just for this week, give yourself the time and the space. Yes, get your responsibilities done, but anything beyond that, really try to give yourself time. So that Five of Pentacles is the dark night of the soul card. So it's about being in a difficult emotional state, but sometimes when we're in those states, they can be a catapult and a catalyst towards real spiritual connection. So tune into your spiritual core as well this week and connect into the light of the universe in some capacity, whatever that means to you, right? Whatever you want to connect into, really having a deep connection to the beauty and the divine and the peace and the joy, and tune into that energy, that universal energy of heart consciousness. That there's ability for you to do that this week, and I think that this would be the week to do that. Um, and having some compassion, not just for yourself, but for others too, and understand that you're not the only one going through challenges either. Understand that there are other people who are going through challenges as well, and that Queen of Cups, she can be really nurturing, not just to herself but to those around her. So maybe this is an opportunity, and some of these other piles have had more of this kind of message of community building being really important, but maybe there's an opportunity this week here for you to connect in with people that you love, and connect in on that energy. With the Queen of Cups, this is about being in a place of joy with others and sharing the love all around so that you can be in a good place. So there's an opportunity, I think, for you this week to do that and to feel that connection energy on a deeper level. So how can you connect into peace and joy and possibilities, and how can you use that to move yourself forward in a positive direction? I think that's kind of what you're being asked to do here with that Queen of Cups, and really take the opportunity and the time to do that. I think the more that you can, the more that you can bring in that connection, not just for yourself, but for others, and that by being of service to others a little bit, sometimes by being in service to others, we feel better about ourselves too in our own personal situations. Not always. There's that old adage, don't secure the life masks of others before you secure the one of yourself in an airplane, right? That is a spiritual message as much as it's practical, because, if you put in too much work on other people before you know how to do it on yourself, then you're going to get burnt out real quick, right? And that's exactly the energy you're trying to avoid here. So this can also mean asking for help too. Maybe there's somebody in your life you can lean on a little bit more this week who can help you out as well, right? There's a bit of that. Now, finally, you have the Justice card, which talks about balance, and it talks about karmic balance. And so and also day-to-day balance, and I think that there's a little bit of a necessity to balance out your life however you need it, even if that means going off on your own and doing your own thing for a minute. What can you do to rebalance yourself so that you're feeling comfortable and you're feeling in a good place? I think the more that you can do that, the more that you'll end up feeling really good instead of feeling overwhelmed in the long run. And I think that that's important for you. So Sagittarius, I hope that that's helpful. Like I said before, everybody's got some real challenges this week. So, check out your sun, moon, and rising signs. You'll probably see a more detailed collective of that. Don't freak out. It's okay. Like, we all have to go through difficulty sometimes, and that's just a part of being alive. And so if you are going through it, my heart is with you, but know that you're not alone, right? That we're all going through something right now because the world is crazy and kind of on fire right now. So, it's a bit scary out there, and it's important for you to prioritize your own mental health as much as you can here. Melissa says, last January was brutal. I do need to learn to put myself first sometimes. I'm Sagittarius. Yeah, it can be important. It's important. And Kristen, I just want to let you know I got your donation, so thank you so much. And you definitely can get a reading today if you want one. And actually, Melissa, I still have you donated a long time ago, and I never gave you one, so you're welcome to have one too today. Kristen says, I just support when I feel called. All right, I appreciate that. If you feel like things are difficult, I just want you to know you're supported. Keep going. It's hard for all of us just to keep you okay. Yeah, I agree. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Definitely. Melissa, I know I'm still formulating a question. Great. Take all the time you need. I'm here when you need it. You just let me know. Krista, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. Things, for me personally, things are actually pretty okay. I think my personal life, I'm feeling pretty good right now. Unknowns. I've got a lot of unknowns. I don't need to talk too much about it, but I still am trying to figure out where I want to move and all that kind of thing. So, I've got unknowns, but I'm okay with unknowns. I feel good about it. I feel good about this channel. Collectively, I'll just let everybody know the channel's been growing quite dramatically the last 2 weeks, which is great. I started doing a lot more content on the channel, and that is paying off pretty well, which is cool. I'm going to try to get better at advertising for these different things. 2 weeks ago, I did really good. I had a really good advertising schedule. I'm trying to find out how to do that a little bit better. Melissa says, come to Charleston, South Carolina. All right, cool. Yeah, all right. I've never actually been to South Carolina, but I hear it's great. I hear good things. South Carolina and North Carolina. I'm thinking North Carolina, but I've heard good things about South Carolina too. Definitely. I've never been to Charleston. I should visit sometime. Definitely. I'm in the Pacific Northwest. I'm probably going to end up in the West Coast somewhere or Southwest. I think the Southwest has been calling me for a long time. Desert climate for sure. So I think I've never been to New Mexico, but I keep feeling like New Mexico is where I want to go. So I'm doing a road trip later this month to really check it out and see. Who knows? Okay, so we're going to move on now. Let's move on to Capricorn. All right, Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising signs. What do you need to know this week? Let's see. For you, interesting. Everybody's got challenges this week, but Capricorn, it does not look like you have any challenging cards. So you might be the one stable person in the storm of everybody having challenges. So if that's the case, keep that in mind. It's okay to be okay. And maybe you could be some support for other people this week. Be mindful of other people around you going through challenges. And if you're not, then that you have a wonderful opportunity to try to help other people on that, so that's important. You've got the Four of Wands here. So with that Four of Wands, there is a need to come home to yourself. You're coming home to you. And that's really important. So there's an opportunity here with that Four of Wands to feel like you are connecting to yourself on a deeper level. Kristen says, congrats on the growth. Yeah, well, I don't know if you're talking about Capricorn, but this is exactly what's happening for Capricorn, right? That this is like them being in their own growth energy and using that, to be in a really good place. So I think that you're in a place where you can really feel at home in you this week and use that for your support. You have two kings here, so you're really in control. I think in challenging times, it can be difficult to know what's going on, how to know how to move forward, any of that. And with these two kings energies, I do think Capricorn can be a particularly stable sign. It is an earth sign, and it really does embody that kind of king of pentacles energy, which is not one of these, but that's okay. So you do have, this stability, this rock, um, within yourself this week, Capricorn. And I think that this is a really important week for you to be embodying your inner rock energy, right? It's important. Kristen, love a good road trip. Go get it. Oh, yeah. I was talking about my road trip. Yep. Cool. So there's an importance here of being open-minded to your own power, your own energy, and using that to help you move forward. So I think for you, you've got the king of compassion and the king of the mind. So what are those together? It means being really stable in knowing yourself, knowing what you need, and knowing how to connect into the feelings and emotions of others as well, being open-minded to helping other people. I think that this week you're going to be so at home in yourself that you're going to be kind of in this position to inspire others a little bit and to be a good rock for your community. Community buildings come up a lot, and so I do think you're in a position to be a very helpful part in your community this week. And whatever that means to you, whatever you feel comfortable with. You don't have to push anything, but just keeping an open mind that you might be helpful for somebody this week. Finally, you have the world, which means moving on to the next chapter. This is moving up and moving on from one thing into something else. So you're really moving up and away from a place where you've been in the past and becoming something even more powerful, more better, more aligned with who you are and what's happening. So I do think there's a real opportunity this week to let yourself feel what you need to feel and connect into everything around you on a positive plane and let yourself be in a new place, let yourself do something different. And if you're in a position to help other people, do so if you can. It's no obligation, but you might feel better from putting that out there and really helping somebody else. So Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising signs, I hope that was helpful. We're going to move on to Aquarius. Be sure to check out your sun, moon, and rising signs. All three will give you kind of a triangulation of what to expect. Some people have 2 in one sign, some people have 3 in one sign. So if that's the case, maybe that reading will be extra important to you, but it just depends. Feel it out. And there'll be some collective messages at the end as well. If you would like a private reading from me, you are welcome to do so. I have them on the website, so go ahead and find information at www.junodrome.com. And we're going to keep going. Aquarius, you got an extra one today. That's cool. All right, let's see. All right, Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising signs. What can you expect for the week? Well, you've got the Ace of Swords. And the Ace of Pentacles and the Ace of Wands. Holy moly. All right. Well, you've got a new beginning coming here. And actually, that makes sense because I think we're in Aquarius season now, or we're very close to it. So ultimately, this is about rebirth happening here. This is coming into a new place, a new chain of being, a new way of thinking, a new connection point into the world. You've got a new start coming in this week, and it's really powerful, and there's a lot of energy behind it. So you're really getting into it. Some of the other signs have all had challenges, but it doesn't look like you have many challenges here. So if you don't have any challenges in your life, first of all, be a little bit aware of those around you, because other people in your life may be going through some challenges this week, and maybe you can lend a supporting hand. But I think with this like new start energy, I think you've got a lot of energy really burning, ready to go. So you are ready to go. You're ready to move. You're ready to put yourself out there this week. And I think that there's an importance in being able to do that. With this Ace of Pentacles, this is a new beginning in your physical world, right? So what your world is doing around you, there's an importance in really connecting into that energy and being open to it. With the Ace of Wands, this is a new beginning towards your passions and your drives and the things that you enjoy in life. So there's an importance in being able to do that. And then finally, with the Ace of Swords, this is a new way of thinking, learning new things, going back to school, taking on a new understanding of the world. So with all three of those together, you're ready to go out and find your passions, make some money, and think about things differently, right? This is powerhouse. This could be like new job energy. This is like new life energy, moving, new things, right? You're really connecting into newness and being open to that. So this is a week for you to allow in whatever new beginnings want to come in for you. And you're going to be building some strong foundations for your future with that Three of Pentacles, and maybe with other people. The Three of Pentacles can talk about building strong foundations, but not necessarily alone. It can mean getting out there with others as well. I think that the community building message is one of the biggest messages for our collective right now. Is this is a really important moment to build as much community as you can. And so be open-minded about that. Maybe this new beginning is having all of this energy and inspiration to do some big project with others, and that other people are going to be in the same place with you, that you can really get into that with the Queen of Wands. This is someone who is a master manifester. She's creating things. She makes anything happen. She has an idea. She puts her intention behind her idea, and she gets out there and she makes it happen. And so you have the ability to do that this week, to really put all of your energy into creation and making something work, making something happen. And like I said at the beginning, if you have some people around you who are facing challenges, maybe some of your enthusiastic energy could rub off on those around you and be helpful. So just be excited and put your excitement out there in the world, and maybe that will help somebody. You never know. So yeah, Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. That's my reading for you. You have a really positive week ahead, it looks like. But just be careful. Other people might be facing some challenges around you, and you might be too. Please check out your Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. I think looking at all three is a helpful way to triangulate what's going on. We're going to move on now. Let's look at the chat. Kristen says, Juno, I swear I listen to my private reading about 17 times. When I can't sleep or feel overwhelmed, I put it on. Thank you so much. Wow, Kristen, thank you. That's so sweet. Wow, that's powerful. Yeah, that's cool. I wanted to start doing. I'm once I have a little bit of extra time, I am thinking about starting a meditations and like sleep channel, like a sleep channel, basically, where I'll do like those kind of like black screen sleep meditation things. And maybe like I was thinking about reading some public domain stories, do some like bedtime story things, because you're not the first person to tell me that. I've had a lot of people tell me that, like, I have a friend, one of my really good friends from college, when I first started this YouTube channel, he said that he used to watch it a lot, like to help him go to sleep. So I was like, wow, that's really nice. Actually, I think that's great. So that's cool. I like that peaceful energy. And being a conduit for that feels good. So that's great. Melissa says, my youngest son's birthday was January 30th. He is Aquarius, just started a new job with benefits. He's looking for about a year. Super excited. He just turned 23. Wow, good for him. That's so great. Congratulations. That sounds awesome. Wow. Yeah, a year. That's a long time. Well, I hope it's a good job. That sounds great. That sounds really great. Okay, we're going to move on. Let's get to the next one. All right, Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. What can you expect for the week ahead? Let's take a look. All right, so I'm just gonna say this right off the bat. You look like you're okay, but most of the piles this week have had some kind of challenge. And so I do think collectively we are facing some difficult moments, and this might be a challenging week for us. So just mentally prepare for that as you get ready for the week. Not that it's going to be scary or anything, but just prepare yourself to face some challenges in your personal life or some difficulties in the world around us. If you face any of that energy, just know that you can face it head on and that you have the tools and the power at your disposal to move through anything. So always remember that. Now, for you in particular, this particular flavor looks a little bit like um, being in an energy of feeling stuck based on your past experience. A lot of times this talks about it's the battle hardened soldier card. So it's somebody who's been through so many battles that they now expect them to come at any moment. And yes, it's good to be prepared for anything, but you don't need to be 100% focused on the worst happening always. And so there is a situation here where being open minded to not to the future is going to be important. Realizing that just because things have happened in the past in a certain way does not mean that they will occur the same in the future, and that there's a real importance to remember that. This week I think that you're going to be thinking the opposite a little bit. And so just if you catch yourself thinking that things are bad right now because of what you've been through, try to keep an open mind. We don't know the future, even though things seem really scary right now, especially in the country or the world, or so many things going on that are really scary. It's okay, right? We can get through this together. And just know, with that nine of wands energy, that we don't know the future. We really don't. And there's opportunities around every corner. There really is. I mean, and that might just sound like platitudes, but it's true, and it's not to say that you shouldn't be prepared for difficult situations. It just means that you should be open-minded to the idea that good things can happen too, even in chaotic times. And that's just important to keep in mind, because it's the kind of thing that can help you build a resilience to move through things. And that kind of resilience is what's needed to be able to make it through the challenging times. So sometimes it's good to have those things moving us forward, knowing that we have something to move us forward, right? That is a form of mental resilience that is very important in order to move through challenging situations. It is a tool at your disposal, right? And so, especially with this battle hardened soldier, like you've made it through all these other battles. So if you're going to take something from the past, don't take assumptions of bad things happening. Take the power that you had to move through the challenges that you faced, and that power is your magical power to move you through anything, right? And that's more important to think of. Now you have the four of swords, which means well, and actually you have the three of swords. Let's talk about that. That's like heartbreak energy. So I think that this battle hardened soldier thing is like past things from the past might trigger this feeling of difficult emotional things going on. So just if that's happening, keep an eye on that, right? But with this four of swords here, this is about rest. And so I think that particularly if you are facing challenges this week, a lot of the other piles had the similar message. There's an importance in taking some time to step back, let yourself breathe, come back into a sense of calm, come back into a sense of clarity, and being here now. Taking that opportunity to do that will be really important for you, because ultimately it's going to help you feel like you can move yourself forward in a positive direction when maybe at this moment you don't feel that way, right? So with this rest card, taking the time to rejuvenate your energy as much as humanly possible will be so huge to help you move forward after this week. So particularly if you're feeling like you're in a difficult place, take some time, take some rest, take some time off if you can, and take some, yeah, maybe even, if you can take some time off, like do it. If you can take a day off this week, maybe you should, right? And just have a day where you do nothing. If you have the ability to do that, that might be really, really powerful for you in the long run. So just keep that in mind, because ultimately you have the victory card. So by the end of the week, I think you're going to be feeling really victorious on something. But I think it comes from maybe this rejuvenation energy, taking some time to rest, to sleep, to come back into yourself, so that by the time that you get back into things at the end of the week, you'll be feeling like you're in a place where you can move forward in a positive direction, right? All right. So thank you so much for tuning in, Pisces. Check out your sun, moon, and rising signs. All three are important to triangulate where you're at. We're going to move on now to the collective reading. I think I will open up to some private readings here, or not private readings, but some personal readings, some little minis. So if you would like one, please let me know in the chat. They're donation based. You can find information on how to donate down below in the description. We have one person in the queue. Kristen, you're in the queue. I know you were just tipping, but if you want, if you want a little mini card pull, just tell me in the comments. I'd be happy to. Otherwise, either way is fine. But you can use it next week if you want. It's up to you. Whatever. Either way. And Melissa, if you think of your question, you're always welcome to throw that in whenever. But if you want to hold off, that's fine too. And let's look at the collective. Otherwise, if anybody else is watching and you want one, just let me know in the comments, and we're going to keep going. All right, collective, what do you need to know? What do we all need to know? Well, the biggest message that kept coming up, okay, yep, we got some repeat cards here, which is great. Yep, excellent. One of the most important messages is that this may be a challenging week for all of us. So if you're coming face to face with your own personal challenges, just know that you're not alone. First of all, that we're all going through stuff together. And because of that, it can be a really great opportunity to build some community with loved ones, friends, even neighbors, even strangers in your community, right? Starting to build some important community connection is going to be very, very, very deeply important for us, I think, as people moving forward. So anywhere that you can build community in your day-to-day life will end up being deeply important for you. I think so. Now, we've got this, so this challenging energy, we got the Ten of Swords, which is that I think it's that nervous system hijacking feeling going on from the media going on right now, from the outside world, from the White House, from everywhere, it's coming out, there's a lot going on. So this is America centric. Not everybody on this channel is from America. If you're dealing with that, congratulations. I envy you. But, I think it affects everybody in some way, with that Ten of Swords, it's being scared. It's being overwhelmed. It's feeling pushed, right, in ways. And so anything that you can do to come back into yourself, to tune out of it as much as you can. I know it's important to be informed, but at the same time, it's important to take care of yourself. And striking that balance for your own mental health is going to be very, very important this week. So keep that in mind, right? We've got a long way to go. But with the sun energy, you got the sun, right? The sun is a bright, beautiful new day. So it's just coming in to remind us collectively that, like, in every moment, in every day, there is something beautiful if you learn how to look at it and see it. And it'll be even more important this week to take the time to do that. I had 11122 on the clock, so that's important, right? Take the time to find the beautiful things in your own life every single day. What is one beautiful thing around you? Is it silly? Okay, great. One beautiful thing in my life right now, I'm surrounded by these plants, and I haven't really been around plants in a long time, and I love that energy, right? So there's one sun thing for me today I can put into my life, right? And there's an importance in doing that. So take the time when you need to be able to put that into your life as much as you can. Open yourself up to that energy. It's an important thing. We've got the Devil card. Yep. So I think that there's a lot. I talked about this. I can't remember who I talked about this with. I think it was with Taurus or Cancer, one of them. But with that Devil card, it's a funny thing. The devil invites us to feel bad, right? And we don't have to accept that invitation. And then, so that's important to remember. It represents the things that bind us. Bad habit energy. It's that kind of like avalanche of negativity, where it's like, oh, you stub your toe, and then because of that, you forget your keys, and because of that, you're late, and because of that, and you just let one bad thing become 1,000 bad things that make everything terrible, right? That's kind of like the spiral with the Devil card. That you don't always have to spiral, right? You could stub your toe and hurt your toe, and instead of being like, oh, that means everything's terrible, you could just be like, oh, ow, and then try to give yourself the space to move through it immediately and let it just be a toe stub, right? Sometimes that can happen with the Devil card. We don't have to be triggered to fall deep down a deep pit into our worst bad habits. We could just do one thing that maybe we didn't like and then move on from it and continue on our way doing the things we do want to do, right? So every time the devil, it requires you to consciously choose the thing that you don't actually want in the long run, right? And so it's all about learning how to see that and learning how to take your own actions into your own hands. Like, that could be a very liberating and powerful thing to do. Finally, we have the Three of Wands, which is talking about, planning for the future and being open-minded at seeing a pathway to move forward. So as much as we're going to be facing some challenges, those challenges might help us see how to move forward as well. They might reveal within them the tools at our disposal to move ourselves forward. So even if you're facing challenges, they might be revealing challenges that help you understand your situation on a deeper level, that create for you an understanding on how to move forward. All right, so that's it for the collective. Kristen, if you would like a reading, let me know in the chat. Same with you, Melissa. Otherwise, we may call it, but I'm just going to ring the bell. And thank you, everybody, for joining in this week. I'm deeply thankful to everybody who's watching live. Very thankful to everybody who watches in post. There will be plenty of content up on this channel this week, so go ahead and look at that. Melissa says, thanks for everything. Have a great week. Yeah, you guys as well. So yeah, both of you have a reading from me whenever you want one. So just let me know, right? And anybody else watching Spacecraft, if you're watching this on your TV, hello, welcome. You probably are. Everybody else, catch you later. Have a great week.